All right, let's dive into something really interesting today. Um, Billie Eilish's Hit Me Hard and Soft tour.
Ooh,
Yeah, so we're looking specifically at a review of her Brisbane show from The Guardian.
okay,
And it's the first stop on her Australian tour.
okay.
So it's kind of a fresh take on what this tour is all about. And I think what's really interesting about this deep dive is we're going beyond just the concert review. We're really looking at
Right.
what this tour is saying about her as an artist, about her growth, and how she's pushing creative boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think it's especially fascinating because she's using a lot of elements that are kind of unexpected, darkness and silence and even a bit of a sinister vibe to create this really intense experience for the audience and get this.
Okay.
Phidias isn't even touring with her this time.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot to unpack here.
It is interesting how this tour, visually and sonically, is a departure for her.
Yeah.
The Guardian review describes her as sprinting across the stage
Oh, wow.
and vaulting between these different platforms and using screens to play with the visibility.
So really like taking up space in a way that maybe she hasn't in the past.
Right. And you pick up on that shift from her past anxieties about performing.
Yeah. I mean, remember all those interviews where she talked about just being overwhelmed
Yeah.
by the spotlight?
Yeah. And wanting to, retreat.
Yeah.
And it seems like with this tour, she's actively choosing to command that attention
Yeah.
and enjoy it. And there's this Vogue quote where she says, I want to tour. I want to make it enjoyable. I don't want to, be miserable and lonely anymore.
Yeah.
And it just seems like she's really embodying that intention on stage.
That really makes me think about the title Hit Me Hard and Soft.
Right.
To me, it speaks to this balance that she's trying to strike
Yeah.
between vulnerability and strength.
Yeah.
And the review mentions, these macabre elements like alligator imagery and pyrotechnics during Bury a Friend.
Oh, wow.
But then there's this moment of complete silence during when the party's over.
Yeah.
So it's like she's really exploring these two sides of herself.
Yeah. And that's something that she's always done really well is play with those dynamics.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting is the way she commands the audience's silence.
Yeah.
It speaks to that trust
Yeah.
and connection that she's built with her fans. They're so in sync with her
It's true.
that they're willing to go silent with her to create space for that vulnerability.
It's almost like a shared breath.
Right.
This collective pause
Yeah,
before diving back into the music.
exactly. And that's echoed, I think, in her vocal delivery, too.
Uh-huh.
The review points out the shift from her signature gauzy whisper to a more seductive deadpan.